Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Parts Talk. Today we will feature a video from another frustrated customer, taken from TikTok of course. It seems all the great materials are there, and as mentioned before in other episodes, customers are no longer afraid to post their disappointments on social media, especially TikTok. We have here Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Google reviews, Quora, Reddit, etc. They are all now the new customer CSI or customer survey. So we will take the time to analyze this video, and you can offer your feedback on this as well. But before we begin, please hit the like button for more content and subscribe if you find my topics informative, so you will be notified when I drop a new episode. It will only take 1.5 seconds. I will allow you to do that. And of course, a friendly reminder that I may be the only program that takes you beyond the sales department consistently. Other videos and content creators, they focus specifically on the cars, their performances, their looks, their styles, their features, and DIY videos from mechanics. So without further ado, here we go.
Hi TikTok friends. So I'm so pissed off right now. My car had a check engine light come on about a week and a half ago. We did the diagnostic with an at-home diagnostic tool, and it said it was an emission error. So my husband called the dealership figuring it's under warranty, gets an appointment. He takes the car in last Tuesday, drops it off. They call, they're like, yep, it's the emission and it's under warranty, and you also have a software update that's also under warranty. And he's like, but it's going to be a couple of days because we have to order the parts. I said, no worries. And he's like, well, do you want to come and get it or leave it here? I said, I'll just leave it there if it's just a couple of days. It's not just a couple of days apparently. So 3 days go by, we don't hear from the dealership. My husband calls on Friday and he's like, hey, I just want an update on the car.
And this is his first strike right here. May I add, a good service advisor will always update the customer on a daily basis on what is happening with the car. They will feel so much more satisfied if someone is communicating with them. After 3 days, that is a big no-no. Let's continue.
And they're like, oh, well, your tech is out on a test drive right now. He'll have to call you back. So they don't call us back. It's a busy weekend. We don't call again. I call again today. And I'm like, hey, I just need an update on my car. And they're like, oh, your tech's out today. I said, well, can somebody please talk to me and give me some kind of update? So this guy gets on the phone. He's like, they told you need a new engine, right? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? Are you sure you're looking at the right car? Because that doesn't make sense. He's like, let me check with the parts manager and I'll call you back. No phone call back. Now I'm freaking out. So I call again and ask for the manager. I leave him a voicemail. I'm like, please call me. No call back. So I call again.
So there is absolutely no reason why a customer cannot be updated on their vehicle at least every day, again with the correct information, and they need to know what is going on with their vehicle. So obviously no one knows what's going on, and the first initial step was with that service advisor or service writer who took the car in. Obviously there's no notes on the system to let her know or to let anyone know exactly what the problem with her vehicle is.
And I'm letting time go by. And this guy is like, oh, well, we don't normally speak on cars unless we're the tech. I said, well, one of your guys told me I need a new engine and this isn't adding up for a 2017. And he goes, oh, well, how many miles are on it? I'm like, less than 50. And he's like, oh, are you the original owner? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, freaking dick, you know, the way he's talking to me. So he's like, well, I'll make sure that Jose calls you first thing in the morning. I said, please, because I'm kind of freaking out right now. So then I'm like, well, who's your manager's boss? He's like, well, my boss is the manager. I said, well, who's his boss? He's like, well, the GM. So I get his extension. I call. I leave a voicemail explaining I'm very concerned to please call me back ASAP. Doesn't call me back. So I call again right before 5, and I'm like, somebody needs to talk to me. And they give me his assistant. And she's like, oh, it was a busy day. It's end of month. I said, I understand that. She's like, he's already gone. He left at 4:30. I said, I call well before 4:30. She's like, well, let me see if I can help you. I explained the situation to her.
And this is also another situation. She shouldn't have to be repeating herself, especially when it goes higher up. The general manager, the assistant general manager should have all that information to know exactly what they're dealing with. So poor communication all around from this dealership.
I'm like, listen, I understand that there's a part shortage, there's a shipping shortage, there's a labor shortage. I understand that. My work is affected as well. However, there's been zero communication, and the communication I've gotten doesn't make sense. She was absolutely appalled. I also told her how when I told the guy, well, should I just come and get my car? He's like, yeah, you might have to. So she's like, I apologize for the shitty service, which she actually said to me. She promised me that she's going to call me first thing in the morning, which we'll see. But she was the first person to show me empathy and an apology. And I was very grateful for that. But I better get some answers because I'm really frustrated. I also want to add that I did drive by and make sure my car is still in.
So there you have it. Then, as you know, there's always three sides to a story, which I may add, there is her side, the dealership side, and then there's the truth. But she wouldn't have taken the time out to come to social media to explain all of this. So let me summarize my thoughts here, and to let you know, if you follow my channel and my podcast, you will know that these are some of the things that I relate to, because this is a common situation in most dealerships, and the operating procedures and accountability measures must be implemented and adhered to. That is if they have one in place. And here we also have a leadership dodging the bullet. If it wasn't for the assistant who came in and understood, and then she admitted that there is a problem within the dealership and the shitty service as well, because she did mention that. So if the policies are not maintained, then the situation will just be a reoccurring decimal or a snowball rolling down a mountainside. It went just on and on and on until the problem actually escalated to the general manager's position. The assistant general manager took charge. But you know, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is something that most dealerships need to have in place in terms of their guidelines and policies and procedures. People must be held accountable for what they're doing. Customer service is key. Without the customer, the dealership won't exist. And part of the problem why I advocate for beyond the sales department, because whatever they do will impact if that customer will return to purchase another car. So after sales service is paramount in any dealership. And as you know, I mentioned the absorption rate over and over and over, because no one cares exactly what happens. If the dealership is selling cars, fine, but that is also another story that we can go into it, but you will hear from me on this topic more and more and more. So leave me your comments on this video and tell me what you think. Now, I also have another video with a mechanic. He's addressing a question here that says, I work at a Honda dealership and sadly people who are dishonest get ahead and make more money. So he's addressing this question that was posted, this comment that was posted on his TikTok as well. So let's hear what he's saying.
This happens at every dealership. It's not just Honda, obviously. Any car dealership, any local independent shop, same thing. You're going to have dishonest technicians who are just looking to make a buck. You're going to have dishonest advisors that are looking to make a buck. You're going to have dishonest managers that are looking to, help their guys make a buck, which makes them a buck. And it's unfortunate. That's a management issue in a nutshell. If you work at a dealership like that, run. You should find a new place to work. You should not cave and become one of those people that just sell shit on a stick. I'm going to give you a perfect example. There are two technicians in my shop that recommend power steering fluid flushes on Hondas. A power steering fluid flush is not part of the recommended maintenance from Honda at all. Essentially, you just top it off, you keep topping it off. When it leaks, you fix the part, you change the fluid out, or just, top it off. That's it. You never really do a power steering fluid service just by draining and refilling, because it doesn't actually do anything. It's just like a free hour for the technicians. They'll call it out just to get a bullshit hour in there. I don't sell that. As soon as it comes through from these one or two guys.
I titled this Troubling Mechanic. You know why? Because over the years I've seen hundreds of power steering fluid flushes throughout my career. It is proven that by doing these flushes, it reconditions the internal seals of the power steering pump. The steering racks, the high pressure hoses, which are notorious to start leaking after a certain mileage on that car, right? So it has its merits in extending the life of these power steering items. However, it's not a documented service from Honda, as he mentioned, right? In other words, it's easier to spend $80 just doing a flush than to spend $700 repairing your power steering, which these new power steering now, they're built in assemblies, complete assemblies. You cannot disassemble them to fit seals and gaskets and all these things anymore. So what the technicians are advising is that do not drive these cars with the same fluid in there from factory, because after a while it crystallizes the components inside here. So having fresh fluid going in and out is something that they are recommending. So they're trying to save the customer money in the long run of not being able to change that part whenever the time comes. So what you can do is let the customer make the call as to what they want to do on their vehicle. I personally think this mechanic is overriding the advice of his fellow technicians, technical observation, and that they are trying to do value added as they go along. So is the service writer in advising this information to the customer. Not everything the manufacturer is going to do. However, service technicians, if they're excellent service technicians, what they're doing is they're offering preventative maintenance, and that is also a value added feature in dealerships. Let's continue.
Call it out in my shop, I just delete it. And they asked me, they're like, why'd you delete that? I said, because it's not Honda recommended maintenance. It's you trying to make an extra buck. And I'm not going to pass that along to the customer, because that's my value that it's dishonorable value that I'm trying to sell. You know what I mean? It doesn't add up, and I don't want to do that. So that's the advisor's job to screen that. And if the advisor's not screening it, that they're part of the problem. And if the managers continue to let it happen, then they're part of the problem. So unfortunately, it happens everywhere. But if you find a place that you work for that doesn't do that, it's a good shop and you should stay there.
I don't know what he's trying to prove, but if I was working with this guy, I'd be disappointed if I saw this video. It's really sad that you'll actually take the time out to come and call out his fellow workers like that, his fellow technicians. But the only thing I can agree with him is that if the dealership or garage doesn't sit well with your values, then run. Don't partake in any type of culture that doesn't sit well with you. I've learned that also in my personal experience. But otherwise from that, I don't know, his opinion has a two-way streak to it. However, let me share your thoughts and your comments below. Let me know what you think about this video he just presented. And the only thing else I would add is that there is a big communication problem within this dealership for him to come and highlight all of this about himself, about the dealership, about his technicians, about what the manufacturer does, and there's nothing of value being said in all of this. Based on what I just told you, that I am batting for his fellow technicians, because removing and replacing fluid is the same thing. It's just like doing a brake flush. It's similar, because after a certain time, you want to drain the bad fluid out and put fresh brake fluid in, because if that brake fluid stays inside there, then after a while your master cylinder will also be affected as well. And they tell you all this. It's not recommended from the manufacturer, but it is something that the dealership recommends. Okay, so that's it for now. But before I go, let me leave you with one of my favorite trading quotes. Of course, I also want to leave you motivated and thinking very well of the automotive culture and automotive setting, especially in the dealership setting. Okay, so in saying this, it's always be faithful to your duties, thereby contributing to the company and to the overall good. Always be studious and creative, striving to stay ahead of the times. Always be practical and avoid frivolousness. In other words, don't be broke or worthless. Always strive to build a home-like atmosphere at work that is warm and friendly. And of course, always have respect for spiritual matters and remember to be grateful at all times, said by Sakichi Toyoda, the founder of Toyota. I hope you learned something today. Remember to smash that like button for more reviews and subscribe so you'll be notified when a new feature video is up. Until next time, have a great day.